This comes from Sarah in Solon, Ohio. I know a Sarah in Solon, Ohio. I wonder if this is the same person. Who knows? Hey, Mary Kay. I've heard a lot on ESPN lately referring to Baker as either average, mediocre. That might be a little much. I think he's normally thought of just kind of outside that top 10. Is it more likely that he's actually a top tier quarterback given what he's accomplished in this Browns organization that was in turmoil when he was first drafted? She says that even Patrick Mahomes might have struggled under Freddie Kitchens.
Well, I agree with that. I think that any quarterback that you had brought in here before this regime came in, I think it would have been tough sledding for a lot of them. You know, would Josh Allen have been Josh Allen here? Would Patrick Mahomes have been Patrick Mahomes? Would Lamar Jackson? I don't think so. Would Lamar have been Lamar? I mean, these guys flourished in the schemes that they were in because they had continuity. And they had good schemes and they had great coaching, which Baker finally has now. That's one of the reasons why I always think that maybe they will look at doing the extension about 6 or 7, maybe even 8 games in the season, once they have 1 year of Baker Mayfield under Kevin Stefanski after the lights came on, so they could say, okay, now this is the body of work that shows us what he's capable of and what he's going to be going forward. But I think that Baker is much better in terms of his ranking in the NFL that he's been able to show because of the regime change. Sometimes I've said this before, I think you could kind of throw 2019 almost out the window. I mean, it was so bad, so dysfunctional, so discombobulated that it's just really hard to grade and evaluate him on that season. I think the real true evaluation of Baker Mayfield, for the most part, starts midway through that last season. That's who he's going to be for the Cleveland Browns. And to me, that looks like an elite level quarterback. And I've said this before too, though. Lots of bad defenses down that stretch. Lots of bad defenses. Okay. And they have to take an unflinching look at that. And they can't be afraid to say, hey, we got a little lucky down the stretch with some of the poor pass defenses that we faced and some of the softer defenses, because we're going to have probably some tougher tests this year. We can't rest on our laurels. We've got to be creative. We've got to be different. We've got to be on point. But yeah, I think that he does some things as well as I see any other quarterback in the NFL do them. One of those things is the ability to nail it when he's on the run. He does that so well. You get him out on the keepers and the boots, and you get him on the move, and he doesn't have to have those feet set. He doesn't have to be perfectly aligned. He's got enough torque in his body and in his arm to make really difficult on the money throws when he is moving. And again, I see him do that as well as many other quarterbacks in the NFL. He's right up there. That's an elite level skill set that he has. It will serve him well, and they will even take more advantage of that this year.
You know, I think some people, when they want to be critical of Baker, they throw out like system quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, he's never really been in a system in the pros. He had his offensive coordinator got fired half a season into his rookie year, and his head coach too. And then he had Freddie Kitchens for like a year and a half. Like you said, 2019, we just kind of throw it out because it was just such a mess once Freddie was kind of outside of that sort of, I don't know what we want to call it, that cushion that he had in that second half of 2018. So yeah, I just think this is kind of the first time we've actually seen him in a system that plays to his strengths. And that kind of goes for every quarterback. There's maybe 2 or 3 guys who are like, that guy can transcend any system, any offense, any talent. And then everybody else, there's got to be some things tailored to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so much has to do with what is going on around you. I mean, is Sam Darnold a mediocre quarterback, or maybe not even a very good quarterback? Or was he just caught up in a really bad situation for himself? You know, sometimes you just don't know the answer to that. But the person on ESPN that has been the hardest on Baker, as we all know by now, is Mike Tannenbaum. He used to work for the Cleveland Browns back in the day. I knew him when he was here. And I don't even know if you can say that he's being hard on Baker. He doesn't feel like he's being hard on Baker. He just feels like he is providing a realistic evaluation of Baker Mayfield's talent. And what he is seeing doesn't shout elite quarterback to him. But I have to wonder, are some of these guys still a little bit jaded by what happened in 2019. It's hard to forget when you see a whole season of that. And if you don't know the inner workings of what was going on there, you would just look at Baker and think he's not a very good quarterback in 2019. I mean, that's just what it looked like. But when you really know what was going on behind the scenes, you can understand that no 24-year-old young quarterback in his second year would have been able to thrive or flourish in that environment. And think about it too. Not only, I mean, was that messed up because you had Todd Monken trying to hold things together when he knew it was a disaster. And I mean, there were just so many moving parts. You had Drew Stanton trying to like keep poor Baker's head above water. I mean, it was just not a good situation. But the year before that, remember, you had Baker Mayfield like hating on Hugh Jackson. I mean, not just some kind of a disconnect, there was animosity there, right? So think of all the turmoil that he's been through with all the different personalities that he has had to try to manage. He was 23 years old, 24 years old when all this was going on, and he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. And that's a tough gig, what he had to go through. Now, everything around him is completely stable and normal and functional. And not only that, it makes sense to him. He's a smart guy. The system makes sense to him. And he's got Case there in his ear saying, this works if you just do this, right? And so he's so bought into the coaching now. And I think Case has been a big part of helping him with that too. But when you have Alex Van Pelt, who helped Aaron Rodgers to some of his best career seasons, you're going to trust that. You are going to trust what he's telling you. When you've got Kevin Stefanski, who has worked with some amazing talent in his career and has that track record, you know that these guys know what they're doing. So I think the Baker that we started to see midway through last season is the one that you need to start evaluating in terms of his upside with the Cleveland Browns. And I think the future is very bright.